I'm 28, work as a freelance graphic designer, and I usually travel alone for short trips. Last October, I rented an Airbnb in a quiet suburb about an hour outside the city. It was a small, two-story house with rustic wooden floors, big windows, and a backyard that looked out over a patch of trees. The kind of place that seemed calm, even idyllic. My plan was simple. A weekend of catching up on work and decompressing from a month of client deadlines. I arrived in the late afternoon, dragging my suitcase up the narrow steps, and immediately felt that comforting hush of being somewhere completely unfamiliar but private. I unpacked, made a cup of tea, and sat by the window with my laptop. Outside, the sun was setting and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Later, I cooked dinner in the small kitchen, humming along to a podcast. I even opened a bottle of wine and took a long shower, enjoying the quiet. Nothing about the day suggested anything out of the ordinary. I made a note to check the locks, just routine, then settled into bed with a book. The house felt completely mine. Around 10 p.m., I thought I heard a faint creak above me. The Airbnb was advertised as a single rental, so I assumed it was just the house settling. A floorboard, maybe the neighbor's dog upstairs, whatever. But when I turned off the lamp and lay in bed, the sound repeated, soft and deliberate. It wasn't random. My stomach sank, but I told myself it was nothing, convincing myself that old houses made strange noises at night. I drifted off, uneasy but rational. I woke around midnight to a sharper noise, footsteps above me. Not the slow creak of settling wood, but deliberate, slow steps. My heart started racing, but I told myself maybe the owners live upstairs, maybe they were returning from somewhere. I grabbed my phone, ready to call if needed, and listened. The footsteps stopped right above my bedroom. Silence, then a soft thump. I froze. The rationalizations ran out. I hadn't seen any mention of anyone else living there, and the idea of a stranger moving around above me was terrifyingly real. I quietly crept to the bedroom door and listened. A shadow passed across the hallway floor, the reflection from the streetlight through the blinds. I realized the front door hadn't been locked. Maybe someone had let themselves in. My mind raced. I texted a friend to call me just to have someone on the line. The footsteps came again, descending the stairs this time. Or so I thought. I gripped the baseball bat I kept for emergencies and moved toward the living room, my phone light trembling across the walls. A figure was crouched by the kitchen doorway, silent, watching me. I'm calling the police, I stammered. The figure didn't move. Get out, I whispered. They stepped forward, slow, deliberately calm. I swung the bat instinctively. They ducked, and I bolted out the front door into the cold night, leaving my phone and bag behind. I ran to my car, locked the doors, and dialed 911, gasping every word. The dispatcher said they'd send someone, but by the time officers arrived, the place was empty. Nothing inside suggested anyone had been there. No open windows, no signs of forced entry. The police took my statement, shrugged politely, and left. I never stayed in an Airbnb alone after that. Months later, I can still see the figure crouched in the doorway, expressionless, and hear the soft echo of those footsteps in my memory. I keep thinking about how calmly they moved, like they'd done it before, like they weren't even surprised to see me. I'll never know who it was or why they were there, but sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear that same slow, deliberate creak, like they're just outside, waiting. I'm 32, a marketing analyst, and I like to travel alone when work gets too stressful. Last spring, I booked a weekend Airbnb in a small lakeside town. The place was a one-story cabin with white siding, a porch overlooking the water, and a small dock. I arrived late Friday afternoon, feeling the relief of being away from emails and meetings. It was quiet, peaceful, almost too quiet. I unpacked, brewed coffee, and settled into the living room, listening to the soft hum of the lake at dusk. I remember thinking it was exactly the kind of solitude I needed. After dinner, I went for a short walk down to the dock, my phone in hand. The water lapped gently at the wooden boards, ducks called softly in the distance, and the sunset painted the lake gold. I noticed the neighbor's cabin across the water, lights off, silent. Back inside, I turned on the heater, picked up a book, and curled up on the sofa. Everything felt completely normal. I even left a window slightly cracked for fresh air, not thinking much of it. Around 11 p.m., I got up to grab a glass of water and felt a draft coming from the bedroom window. I hadn't opened it. I was sure of that. I walked over, touched the latch, and it clicked open easily. My stomach tightened. I locked it, reasoning it might have been slightly loose earlier or the wind had pushed it open. I tried to shake the unease and returned to the sofa, pretending it didn't bother me. A few hours later, I woke to a soft tapping sound, like someone lightly drumming their fingers on glass. I froze. The window. My heart raced as I sat up in bed, straining to hear. The tapping continued, irregular, deliberate. I peeked through the curtains and saw nothing but darkness and the faint reflection of the lake outside. I checked the doors, all locked. I told myself I was imagining it, that the wind or a branch had brushed against the glass. Minutes later, I heard it again, but louder, closer. This time there was a shadow outside, moving slowly along the cabin wall. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911, and whispered to the operator that someone was outside. They told me to stay calm and not to confront anyone. I grabbed a heavy lamp as a weapon, crouched behind the sofa, and watched the shadow pause beneath the window, just out of reach of the porch light. The tapping stopped. Then a knock, sharp, insistent, on the door. My voice caught as I told the operator what was happening. I could hear breathing outside, slow, measured. By the time the police arrived, there was no one there. They found no footprints in the soft earth, no signs of forced entry, and no explanation for the open window. I didn't stay that night. I packed in a panic and drove to a hotel, my hands shaking, replaying every sound, every shadow. Months later, I can't walk past a lake without imagining someone tapping at the glass, waiting. I keep thinking about that shadow, the way it paused, deliberate, patient, and the open window, as if someone had been inside all along, watching me sleep.